This year is all got.
Yeah.
No, I'm. Yeah, I think it is. Thank you. Thank you. I shouldn't realize that this was.
This is how I feel most days. Yeah. And I think a lot of these guys are younger. So in the very back, he has his cushion found So it's mostly sit on that bridge.
We met. Back then I was not exactly where I am now. That's probably why, but different context. Shift in the zoo and then off to the.
From one zoo to another.
For tonight, what are you expecting? Zine? Yes. Beautiful.
So this shoe, like to be some of our first to. And then Brian. And we'll have like a. We'll have an intermission. So.
Yes. I had to say hi.
Let me introduce. I do. What's your name?
I mean, I think this is today for her back.
Yeah. So shortness, we actually completed like.
Recognize my name.
Are you really proud? Yeah, I think there were only other. But I remember, I remember your comments. You wrote down some interesting comments about. Yeah. That's really.
I hear that this is a place we can get a copy of the Zine. Yeah. Amanda went. AJ Wentz. Okay.
I love your poem.
Oh, thank you.
Where are you from?
Little Rock. Now, you local?
Yeah, we're both.
Awesome. You've done a great job putting this on. I'm really excited to see how it goes. I'm originally from Little Rock. Oh, really? What brush back? A boy. I brought a boy from Indiana to here, so like I guess. No, actually, I grew up in Arizona. I was away for about 2 years. I lived in Conway for about 6, and then I came back. Like these are my nuclear family. So they're like, and you're long too. And a lot of this I do really are totally different and Taylor, and I started dating and no, there's like the tourist town, right? But it's like
I was heard wait,
I'm sorry. My name's Taka.
that's a poem. All right, we're off to the I'm gonna ask Kevin how to help us. And you know, this was actually 5 years old. That's
After winning that By the way,
Like, that's as close to a slam as and this is not that nice. Good, good. Okay, we're gonna keep things on schedule. You know, as artists, we like to go up, you know, kind of feel called and led to do so. But welcome to the first Hot Springs Festival. My name is Catherine Brickman, and I am a transplant. I've been living in Arkansas, and I lived in a place called Barron, Virginia, for maybe 11 months. It was very small. It was beautiful, but it was a little too far from home. So I was like, I'm not coming back to Arkansas. Where else can I go? So I landed in Tulsa, and then somehow I found my way to Conway, Arkansas, and that is where I found my people. So kind of the same people who enjoy arts and throwing large events, and so that's where I got a taste for that. Um, but yeah, so this is the culmination of at least a year working on this. I know that Sam, who will talk after I do, they've been working on this for at least a year, if not longer. So this has been a dream and something that I think has been born out of a lot of different art initiatives that happen in Hot Springs. Something that I realized about Hot Springs before I moved here is that it's kind of a special place. And I didn't really understand until I actually moved down here. And that was back in May. And I've had a lot of really strange and beautiful things that have happened. Even though my grandmother is not from here, she's from the Jonesboro area. I feel her a lot here. I have also gotten in so much more in touch with community, and that's something that I thought that maybe I wouldn't have for a while. So a lot of cool things happen in Hot Springs. A lot of cool poetry things happen in Hot Springs, and so we're really excited to kick this off. Um, and share this experience with y'all. There are a few things that my organizer brain wants to talk about, so I'm gonna take out my phone. Um, and I also want to just thank everyone for coming here in whatever capacity you did today. Whether you are virtual, whether you are here and maybe not feeling so hot, and whether you're only going to stay here for a couple minutes, that's okay. You know, you came here. Again, we're going to experience this all together, but we have some amazing poets lined up. All of them are local or have some connection to Arkansas, and so we're really excited. We have some really great sponsors this year, which was terrifying because we didn't know if that was going to happen. Our presenting sponsor is the Arlington Resort and Spa, and that is where the last event is going to be held. It's going to be our slam poetry event. It's a competition. We've got a couple extra spaces, just a couple though, like 3 or 4. So if you're interested, or if you know a slam poet who would be awesome at that, let them know. hspf.org is where you can sign up. We'd like to thank our venue sponsors, Emergent Arts and Collective, which is where you're sitting right now. And our event sponsors, Garland County Library. If you have not made your way over to the Garland County Library, it's just a beautiful place. They have a lot of great things. I've really never loved a library as much as I've loved Garland County Library. So that's just my personal spiel. And the Writers Colony at Dairy Hollow, which we have two guests here. And that they're going to share a little bit about their space, where they are. They're up in Eureka Springs, so you can come up after I'm done, if that's all right. Sure. And then we have a couple of small business sponsors, the Couples Inc. podcast that you can listen to. They're really great for especially small business entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders. They give a lot of advice on just how to work together better. So check that out. It's on Apple and Spotify. And Sue, the owner of Historic District Antiques, that's further down this way. They're a beautiful space. They have been patrons of the arts for a long time, and they donated in honor of the late Paul Tucker. So that was really beautiful. There is a memoriam to him in the if you want to take a look at that. And if you got an email that you were featured in our zine, we'd like to give you a complimentary copy. If you would like to support the festival so that we can keep going for years and years and years, we have donation thank yous, and those are in the form of t-shirts, totes, and the zines. The zines start at $10, and we have different donation tiers that you can go into. So thank you all so much for being here. If you'd like to come up and talk about the Writers Colony.
Hello, my name is KJ, and I am now a resident of Springs. But I have lived in Eureka Springs for about 30 years, which is where our Writers Colony is located. We have a beautiful former bed and breakfast, 8-suite colony that is dedicated to serving writers and creating a quiet space. And each of our suites are outfitted with a writing area overlooking what we consider a very beautiful Ozark Mountains. And there's lots of trails. Yeah, you were at the colony 2 years ago. She spent some time there, but we'd love to. We've got some bookmarks at the door for our website, and you can also sign up for our email list there. And we have a door prize, so keep in touch. Thanks for having us.
Oh, yes.
A little bit of the flavor of the colony by way of some quotes from alumni. That's the best way to really get an understanding of it. Everything about the writers' colony that sense of sanctuary, respect, and encouragement for writing. I feel like the experience is not paying off in the ways that remind us what creativity feels like at the purest level. How I brought that feeling over. I plan to return to Dairy Hollow as soon as I'm able, not just because of what I wrote here, but because of who I was allowed to be while writing. I feel more whole in myself when I leave. I felt completely alive to the writer's hollow. There's a man there to speak with words. This nonprofit staff is all there on the neighborhood. Thank you.
Speaking of just sand.
Check, check. Friends. 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 One more time. Repeat after me. Friends. Thank. Happy Bud Kinney Day, my friends. Welcome to the Hot Springs Poetry Festival, which just seemed to me to make sense. I mean, we have the longest consecutive running open mic reading series in the nation, hosted by our very own Toggin. And I also wanted to dedicate these efforts to my partner, Melon,
who recently had a traumatic head injury about 2 months ago. And on that note, I wanted to wish everyone some extra happiness and health today. Before we begin, I've been thinking about how the first Hot Springs Poetry Festival was not even this week, but probably thousands of years ago, here where poetry springs eternal, where poems rise up like steam. Near these springs, indigenous nations share their poetic stories and still share their poetic stories. If you really want to know how close, Washita Wax and Naturals is Choctaw run, women run own business, and that's their presence. We are guests on this sacred land. Caddo, Pawpaw, Osage, Tunica, Choctaw, Cherokee communities and nations gathered at these springs for thousands of years. And Bud Kinney knew this. On his walk across the country, Bud carried knowledge like a rock in his shoe. He reminded me that with each step, poems are like paths and paths are like poems, and both bring us home. Today is Bud Kinney Day. It was proclaimed by the mayor a few years ago, and we actually planned this festival before we knew Bud Kinney Day was today. So we wanted to honor how Bud Kinney founded Wednesday Night Poetry. Without Bud Kinney, a lot of us wouldn't be here. And that is the power of interdependence. And I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you all. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for, if without Agnes and Kevin at Collective, none of us would be here. Without the Arlington Hotel, Emergent Arts, the Garland County Library, so many of us would not be here today. All of us are like beads on the same string. You can't make a bracelet with one bead. You have to find the thread and you have to try to weave the best you can. And that is what we are doing here. We are threading the community together. There is the individual, like a single spark, a single syllable or word, and then there is community, a whole fireplace of words and sentences. And here we practice the balance, poets reading their work, and then this room that receives them. We honor those who taught us how to listen. For me, that was Kai Coggin and Wednesday Night Poetry, the heartbeat of poetry here at home. This community's generosity helps keep poetry alive, and it's looking pretty dangerous out there in regards to keeping poetry alive. Your generosity has already become a living poem. You're helping us support artists and poets and publish zines and with dozens of poets, and also order fun things like tote bags and shirts to honor this rich poetry tradition. You have helped bring to life also this painting of Bud Kinney. This is a local artist, Bliss Rogers. She painted this for Bud Kinney. We are also inspired by the C.D. Wright Women's Conference and by C.D. Wright herself. And I also wanted to say thank you to Sandy and all y'all at UCA for what you're doing there. C.D. wrote of Arkansas like a bell of mindfulness. She once said she came from that part of Arkansas known for its resistance to joining. And yet here we are, joining anyway, stitching our distances into togetherness. And our words travel farther than we do. We have a sister city, Hanamaki, Japan, that teaches us about the Japanese poet Kenji Miyazawa. We even have a statue of him here next to the convention center. So like Kenji Miyazawa, I hope your poems grow like the Arkansas rice that we have here. We stand among poetry legends. I truly believe everybody reading tonight is a kind of legend to me and is a kind of hero to me. So I wanted to say thank you to each and every person reading tonight. The poets here, they remind me that place can be both mentor, teacher, but also medicine and healing. So with that, I just wanted to say, let this be your festival. This is not just one person's festival. This is our festival. We hope that it is the gift that keeps on giving. I personally have been trying to cultivate generosity as a practice. So may we give our time, our attention, our applause, and our open hearts. This festival is a kind of love letter to Hot Springs, these hills, these waters, and even these sidewalks and promenades. This festival is also an echo of the elder voices who sang here before us. I just have one simple ask from one bead to the bracelet, and that's just to give what you can. If it's a poem, a hug, anything, this is a thread bringing beads together. I met our first poet in 2016 when I was a student at University of the Ozarks, trying to create an event regarding justice. And I immediately thought of Kai Coggin, and I cherish that moment of meeting this poet, this kind of star of mine. Kai Coggin is the inaugural poet laureate of Hot Springs, Arkansas, and a recipient of the 2024 Academy of American Poets Laureate Fellowship for her project Sharing Tree Space, which I was so grateful to be a part of. She is the author of 5 collections, most recently Mother of Other Kingdoms. Coggin is a certified master naturalist, a K-12 teaching artist in poetry with the Arkansas Arts Council, a Catalyze and Interchange Great Fellow from the Mid-America Arts Alliance, and of course, host of the longest running consecutive weekly open mic series in the country, Wednesday Night Poetry. Coggin was twice named Best Poet in Arkansas by the Arkansas Times and nominated for Arkansas State Poet Laureate and Hot Springs Woman of the Year. Her fierce and tender poetry has been nominated 9 times for the Pushcart Prize and awarded Best of the Net in 2022. 10 of Kai's poems are going to the moon with the Lunar Codex Project, and yet here she is live on planet Earth. Please welcome Kai Coggin.
Let's clap it up for Sam and Catherine and all the volunteers and staff. As Sam so beautifully said, I am Kai Coggin, but I have to do something because I know that Bud would want me to do it. Whenever there was a special occasion, Bud wore his top hat. And so I think that this is a pretty special occasion. Oh no, baby. Your face. So I have been a part. Oh, you're here. That's the love of Bud's life right there that just came in the door. He's here. That's how she normally dresses. Her name's Jen. I became the host of Wednesday Night Poetry in 2019, but I've been a part of this community in Hot Springs Poetry for 13 or 14 years, maybe 2013. And it was over at Maxine's before. I was a new poet, and because of this community, because of poetry in Hot Springs, I was able to find myself as a poet and to share in this safe space. And over these last, 15 years or so, I've written 5 books because of this space, because of this community here in Hot Springs, and because of Bud Kenny, and because of our fellow poets that are here in the room with us. During the 30th anniversary, Bud got the clipboard And he got down on one knee, and I was like, no, man, I'm gay. And he asked me to take Wednesday night poetry to the future. And so I became the host of Wednesday night poetry at that 30th anniversary. That was in 2019, February 2019. By September, Bud was in the hospital. I know that he just wanted to be able to sit in the back of the room and be a part of the audience. When you host a space, when you hold a space, it's hard to ever just sit back. Even right now, I still feel like I'm the host because this is like, I can't not wear that hat. You're wearing the hat. You're wearing the hat today. He wanted to just be able to sit in the back, and his picture is there in the back. He's always sitting right there in the back underneath our banner with Dr. Paul Tucker. So his spirit is always here every Wednesday, and I know for sure his spirit is here today. But it's also kind of like he knew that he wasn't going to be around too much longer, and he wanted this legacy to be held in someone's hands that was going to take it into the future. Now we went through the pandemic and all of those things, and we've still never missed a week in 1,918 weeks in a row. So that's happening. But by that July, Bud had had a heart problem, and in September he was in the hospital in Little Rock. Jim stayed by his side every day for months. He had to have, a couple of surgeries, and he just didn't really come back. And he had a tube in his throat on his birthday, September 23rd. And I had written him a poem, and me and a few other poets went to go and see him in the hospital, and I got to read him a poem that I had written for him. And then by October 3rd, he was gone. He passed away. And of course, he passed away on his own terms because that's the kind of guy Bud was. But he also passed away on a Wednesday. And so, of course, right? And so we weren't going to miss the streak. And so on the day that our founder died and became the spirit of poetry, went to the open mic in the sky, I had to stand at this mic and tell our community that he was gone. And I read this poem, and it's on the first page of our zine. It's called Vagabond Song. In case you didn't know, Bud walked across the country a couple of times. So that's just in the background. And this is the poem that I got to read to him in the hospital on his birthday. Vagabond Song for Bud. A bud is the beginning of something, a suggestion of petals, leaves, and bloom, striving to fill a room with color, fighting for a fulfillment of a dream, a notion toward emotion in footsteps and poetry. Bud. 45 years ago, you set forth on foot with your pack pony Maybelline, a pair of hiking boots and a dream to see this country with your own eyes, to feel its people with your own bright young heart, to shake the hands of countless strangers and sleep on the fields of their willingness to open and share, to walk with your face toward the sun from the East Coast to the west and halfway back. And what did you see, Bud? What did that young man hope to find as one foot paced in front of the other foot, step by step by step by step? The soles of your boots pounding the drum of your soul, the music of your never-ending, ever-stretching earth, the metronome of a poetic prodigal son coming home, the rhythm marking time to your universe all alone. Oh, what did you see? What does 16 million footsteps across 8,000 miles translate to, with the cadence of a pony trot and your panting dog in the background? What is the song you became? Boy, becoming man, striding each beat toward yourself. You left Pennsylvania in 1974 to walk across the north crown of our country on the highways and byways, the veins of this nation. And you claimed the name Vagabond. You claimed the name Wanderer, traveling minstrel from a long forgotten age of kings and queens. And it was the minstrels who walked beside the bravest knights. And maybe your legacy of lifetimes past has bled into the warm fabric of this life. And there is a rhythm in you that won't let you sleep. until you are walking in time with the stars, the gravel, the dewy grass, the dirt road, foot soldier brimming with boyhood ambition who wanted to see the real America, face to face, eye to eye. And what better way than to walk, step by step by step, the locomotive machine of your hips and knees swinging, forging a path over the rolling green hills and snow-kissed mountains, the golden prairies and endless fields of farmland, the fat brown rivers and cool trickling streams, the blazing black asphalt of summer highways and sweat baptizing you new at every bend in the endless road. As Bob Dylan says, "Where have you been, my blue-eyed son? What have you been, my darling young one?" You wrote your first real poem that year on this march to nowhere and everywhere at once. And I wonder what it was that slapped you across the face with beauty. I wonder what made you look up from the road and your unceasing feet, the trump and sway of your body and the pony's body and the dog's body. What stopped you in your tracks? What made you jot down with your pencil and paper so quick that you wouldn't forget? What was it? Was it a sunrise, Bud? Was it a full moon reflecting blue light across freshly fallen snow? Was it an eagle following you overhead, calling you brother? Was it a woman you were wishing beside you? What did you see, my blue-eyed son? What did you see, my darling young one? You saw a cave in Wisconsin that wooed you through winter. You learned the incantations of Black Elk, a Sioux medicine man who took you into the nest of his sky-pointed antlers. You became a bolt of pure fire when lightning struck you at Wounded Knee, but the hoof and paw and soles of your caravan pressed on. What did you see, my blue-eyed son? What did you see, my darling young one? You froze your feet on the Continental Divide, and I wonder what you felt with 1 foot here and 1 foot there, standing, straddling an invisible gateway of oceans, pulling you apart from either side. Frozen boy, I can see the clouds spilling upward from your mouth, rising frost. Persistent traveler on to Oregon and down the western coast until you found everybody's forgotten hearts in the fog and sunshine of San Francisco. You got arrested for having a horse on the Golden Gate Bridge, and I bet you still crack that boyhood chuckle when you think of that day on the bridge, the red suspended steel smiling at your American dream. Finally, on Thanksgiving Day, 1977, 42 years ago in just a few weeks, you walked into Hot Springs, where your mother had a home. And there is nowhere else for a boy to go after he has traversed 8,000 miles on foot other than his mother's tables. And what questions did she ask you, Bud? And what favorite meal did she cook for her boy? And did she fan the newspaper clippings across the oak dining table? Pride in her eyes for her wild and free son. I can see how you must have looked at her and how she must have looked at you, my mind. That boyish smile will never leave you. What did you do then, my blue-eyed son? What did you do then, my darling young one? You stayed here in Hot Springs and you started a movement. Through poetry and beauty, I swear all poets feel it. The longest poetry series that exists in the country. Your miles and miles translated into something. You vagabond poet, you wandering wonder. You were struck by lightning, but your voice is the thunder. Now we see it and hear it and love it and feel it. Somewhere in a field the mules are rejoicing. And it's a long, It's a long, and it's a long, and it's a long, and it's a long road that brought you home. A bud is the beginning of something, a suggestion of petals, leaves, and bloom, striving to fill a room with color, fighting toward a fulfillment of a dream, a notion toward emotion in footsteps and poetry. A suggestion that has transformed into the walls of a home built with the words over 1,918 Wednesdays in a row, where poets come and poets go. But there is always the legacy of a persistent bud blooming others into beauty. Look around at the faces that are here today. Look around at the "this is your life" of this gathering. Bud, you have walked step by step by step into each one of our hearts. And I can close my eyes and know you're everywhere now. You are a garden of blooms budding up a mountain at sunrise, a vagabond poet twirling and dancing toward the next horizon, dreaming of another journey that always begins with a single step. Now you are free, my blue-eyed son. Now you are free, my darling young one. I read that in many years. So when I wrote that, that was October or September 2019. I'm actually just going to read one more for the times. These are scary times. These are dark times. I know I don't need to tell the poets. This is called Protect the Vulnerable. When a predator or hunter menaces a reindeer herd, the reindeer move with collective consciousness into the spiraling pattern of a cyclone, sprinting into a huge layered circle round and round and round. They become one pulsing organism of protection, pushing the elder reindeer and the tender young calves toward the center of the eye. Protect the vulnerable. The reindeer cyclone phenomenon was first witnessed by Vikings in Norway and captured by nature documentary drones in our time to show this whirlpool of shielding the small ones, a tornado of raging, running fur and hooves, a weather pattern guardian group soul. In the flurry of galloping movement, its dizzying, running, hypnotic animal spin, the predator cannot focus his arrow on a single target. The predator is overwhelmed by the revolutions, and the young calves are not blooded by the hunt. They live another day. Protect the vulnerable. I'm thinking too of the musk ox, a species of bull who forms a defensive line against a single predator, a circle against a group of predators, varying strategies to combat varying assaults. The musk oxen adults stand shoulder to shoulder, facing the threat with their young ones blocked by their bodies. Both males and females have horns which they point toward the attacker, standing their ground solid. They do not waste their energy trying to run. Protect the vulnerable. I just read of a peaceful elephant herd in India who trampled a woman to death. She was the suspected poacher who killed a young calf. Days later, during the poacher's funeral ceremony, the elephants emerged from the forest, trampled her corpse, and stampeded her house. Remembered. What times are these? Are you watching? Is your body keeping the score? The imposed imbalance is beyond a tipping point. We are careening toward moral bankruptcy while the billionaires sell our souls, rape and pillage our earth to build mansions on Mars. Every wild creature inside me wants to stampede, wants to lock horns, wants to reindeer cyclone, protect the vulnerable. How do we protect the vulnerable amidst this rapid dismantling? How do we try to put everyone and everything in the center of the eye? Will the trees stand in the center over my trans kids? Will the books burn, still lighting the way somehow? Will the horns of the muskox interlock into a protection that we humans can understand? Let's lock arms in front of the letters of the alphabet facing erasure by the mad orange king. Take arrows for the letters behind T and Q, D, E, I, and A, EPA, NPS, OPM, CDC, CIA, FBI, SNAP, USA. How big of a circle can we make? How fast must we run to stop the predators when the hunters are firing at us from the inside? Oh, heavy is the heart that feels. Filled with tears are the eyes that see. I am running circles in my head around everything I hold dear, spinning infinities of chaos into a rebuilding strength. Each breath a desperation, a flame fanned with Molotov mouth aimed at whoever comes for us. I have told myself I am not afraid to die. I don't know if I believe it. Nature, by design, is adapted to survive. There is a horned lizard in southeast Texas that, if threatened, can literally shoot blood out of its eyes, and I am filled with that blood rage that sees everything we are losing. The generational damage, the loss of foundations and groundwork and progress and hope. We are spinning in this chaos. We are facing the threat head on. Our children's children stand in the center of the eye, defended by our interlocked arms and chests and hearts, pierced with the arrows they don't know yet that we are taking.
Poems aren't that.
Thank you so much, Kai. I'm already looking forward to your next book, by the way. Our next poet is somebody every poet in Arkansas should know. Brian Borland, he, him, is the author of multiple books, including Brotherful and Dig, a Lambda Literary Award finalist in gay poetry, and a Stonewall Honor book. He is the founding publisher of Sibling Rivalry Press and the founding editor of Asarakis, a journal of gay and queer poetry. A 2025 Catalyzed Fellow, congrats on that, by the way. His work bridges poetry and publishing through a belief in visibility, lineage, and the power of art. Please welcome Brian Borland.
Thank you so much for that, Sam. Catherine, thank you for having us. Thank you for doing this. I know how much work something like this takes. We need events like this right now. You feed my soul. Thank you.
Feed ours.
So I've got 15 minutes to tell you my life story. So let's get to it. I remember the exact moment I fell in love with poetry. I was 13 years old. My older brother had died unexpectedly, and I hadn't yet found my legs in a world without him. It was January 20th, 1993, Bill Clinton's first inauguration. I was homesick from school, a fever, a blanket, and a television humming in front of me. Then she took the stage, and the air changed. Maya Angelou, towering, commanding, a voice that filled my whole body. She read a poem called On the Pulse of the Morning about connection and wisdom. She said, in part, the river sang and sings on. There's a true yearning to respond to the river and the rock, the gay, the straight, the preacher, the privileged, the homeless, the teacher. They all hear the speaking of the tree, meaning everything is connected, meaning we are all connected, even me. When I tell you my spine turned lightning rod, when I tell you I sat straight up and was electrified, when I tell you I felt seen for the first time, believe me. Here was this woman who looked nothing like me, who sounded nothing like me, talking to me. And what was the magic? What was the lightning that struck my spine? She said the word gay. Now, at 13, I already knew. I knew, but the word gay was a secret I could barely breathe. She said it, and I heard it with reverence, with love, with respect. She said it in a way I'd never heard before, and poetry broke me into existence. After that, it was game. I learned the power of words, how to write something that broke another person open, that gave them permission to feel, to be angry, to be seen, and my favorite, to be gentle. Poetry carried me into high school and college. It healed me. It transformed me, not to make a man out of me, but a human capable of loving and being loved. It helped me find the courage and the words to come out. But then came the Bush years when people like me were the problem. We were the political enemy, the dangerous part of the equation. So I wrote in protest, finding my footing with Allen Ginsberg, with HBO's Def Poetry Jam, with this raw punk anthology called An Outlaw Bible of American Poetry. Those voices rioted. They claimed space. They taught me how to expand into and beyond myself. By my 20s, I was publishing online and in magazines, finding community in poetry. A New York editor, John Stahl of the literary journal Ganymede, he believed in me. He convinced me to self-publish my first book. I asked my dad for his blessing. The book was about our family, and I asked him for $1,000 I didn't have, and he barely had. He said, "You don't need my permission. You got it, but you don't need it, and I'll put the money in your account." He did. And 10 days later, his car went off a bridge and he died. Everything that followed was born from his last act of love for me. My entire adult life was born from his last act of love for me. So I built a publishing house. I called it Sibling Rivalry for my brother, for connection, for love, for protest, for that first electric moment in poetry. John, who helped me with the book, he died unexpectedly too. His journal Ganymede died with him, but nothing is ever truly destroyed when it exists in the first place with the intentionality of love. So I created something else. In the Greek myth, the boy Ganymede is stolen by the god Zeus. His brother left behind was named Astericus. That's what I named the new journal, which focused on gay poetry, but I pronounced it Asteracus, emphasis on the ass for a little shock and awe of my own. And it worked. It took off. It got attention. It earned buzz. It won Library Journal's Best Magazine Award. It won a Pushcart Prize for a poet, a big deal for writers. Sibling Rivalry Press took off too, beyond my wildest dreams. Our poets have gone on to win pretty much every literary award. The MacArthur Genius Grant, regional book prizes, National Book Award recognition, the T.S. Eliot Prize, the Pulitzer Prize in poetry, and even the Poet Laureateship of Hot Springs, Arkansas. We became the first press, large or small, to win Lambda Literary Awards in both gay and lesbian poetry. The Library of Congress, by special invitation, houses every book we've ever printed in its rare books vault. We started small, we made history, we made space. I met my husband through the press. I read at a church, he was in the audience. He became my intern. Then I fired him. Then I married him. He's also a writer. Poetry broke him open too. He's right there wearing black wig. When 2020 came and the world slowed down, we slowed down our publishing too. Our house on a hill in North Little Rock, Arkansas, we bought with poetry money, felt like safety. For once, we had a marriage without deadlines. We needed that. And we loved it. I went to work for a global nonprofit, and my boss is here tonight. It's kind of awkward. He's never seen me do this. Like, this is the other side of Brian. So, yeah. So I went to work for a global nonprofit. My husband became a social worker. When it came to publishing, I used the word retire. Then the world shifted again. Trump was reelected. Suddenly, the political monsters were our trans siblings. The attacks came close. An Arkansas high school choir competition banned a song because a legislator complained about the gender identity of its lyricist. That lyricist was trans poet Amir Rabia. Now, I had published their first book in 2017. When you're queer, you build family, chosen family. When they came for Amir, they came for mine, so I stood back up. I brought Pastor Akis out of its sleep. Now, I journal for the full spectrum of queer poetry. It returned just this week on October 28th, and it features Amir, and yeah, that band piece, it's called Release. It's published and made available worldwide from the very state that attempted to silence it. Because here's the truth. Attack art, and it multiplies. Attack art, and it gains power. Attack art, and it breaks open. Amir's poem is love, it's tenderness, it's human, but the rest of Asterakis, it's fire, it's fist, it's queer joy and queer sex and everything that book banners fear. And because of their fear, it will be read by more people than ever. I've also created the Arkansas Queer Poets series to champion local writers, and I'll publish more books by trans and non-binary poets of color from across the country, publishing queer elders and new voices because I have to, because I have the privilege, this mic, the stage, this body that can stand, and a mouth that can speak, and I will use it to say, I'm here. We're here. You can't erase us, then I'll pass the mic to another person whose voice will rise, rise, rise until it breaks someone else open. And on and on and on. So ban our books. Hide them, make them contraband. You can even burn them, but in the words of Maya Angelou, still like air will rise. Here is Asterakis. That's not me on the cover, though. I wish it was. So yeah, making a little splash. How about a love poem? How about a little love poem for my boo? It's dangerous when you're in a relationship with a poet because you never know what they're going to write about. But he's a poet too, so we just kind of go back and forth. Everything is on paper. We don't have any secrets. Everybody knows everything about us. Chicago Cubs t-shirt. When we were new, I drove the 30 minutes to your childhood home, snuck in to not wake your little brother, your mother, made love in your twin bed. It was love. Hugged you under the pecan trees before I drove off. You were cold. I gave you the shirt off my back. Chicago Cubs oversized, hanging over places I just kissed. On the drive home, my chest bare against the seatbelt, I played the music you loved to keep me awake. Bob Dylan, I want you. The workday just hours away, I fell into bed missing you. Now 12 years and 2 months later, we sit at the same table, the same life, kissing the same places on your body. We are no longer boys. We are something broad and strong and sure in ourselves, in us. I remember that feeling. I still have that feeling of sparks and lightning bugs, that buzz of electricity, without the fear of it not being real, without the fear of you leaving or not falling as hard you fell. Me, I'm still falling. So I'm gonna put my husband to work. He's gonna pass out something. This next poem I didn't write, but I published it in Asterakis, and it's my favorite poem I've ever published in Asterakis. It's by a friend of mine named Anthony Leroy. It's called A Spell for Tyler Clementi. Tyler Clementi, he was a young, gifted musician, a freshman at Rutgers University, whose death became a national symbol of the devastating impact of anti-LGBT bullying and public shaming. Only weeks into his first semester at college, his roommate secretly used a webcam to live stream Tyler's private encounter with another man. This invasion of privacy and the subsequent online gossip and humiliation were unbearable. On September 22nd, 2010, Tyler Clementi jumped off the George Washington Bridge. He was 18 years old. Listen, kid, I get it. I do. I remember Smear the Queer and all the other torture games that made us get the hell out of Dodge, hoping college would dispatch the barbarian hordes. I am, as they say, sympathetic. After all, your blood could be my blood, and there's more of you where you came from, contemplating release, the kind that comes from jumping, or wrist cutting, or running a car into a tree, or jumping off a bridge. The wonders of the internet didn't do you in, methods and motivation that fell out in a climate of hot fear that stank up your dorm room like stale sweat socks, like puke in the hallway after a gag. Hot fear you brought from home in the minivan, the loss of family, of honor, of refuge, the hope of love. See, I know you because I know me. You're the kind of kid that would come to me saying Jesus hates fags if you're a believer, that your parents would disown you, and that's why it took you so long to enter every party so shy without even so much as a watered down drink in your trembling hand. But you didn't get that far. See, that's the part that really gets me. You'd made it out of high school, across the invisible finish line to technical adulthood, but still in 13th grade, not quite out of the woods, wanting to go it alone, to be brave, to prove to yourself, to anyone, that you were something that you were supposed to be. Yeah, Bowie knows it's hard to be a space oddity, but planet Earth is blue, and there's something left for you to do. Sweet ghost. Dear Tyler, it's time to gather up the bits of you spread across the web, the photograph of you playing violin, the grief of your parents, your roommates' mugshots. It's time to focus hard from your new vantage point on Earth. The children close to jump, to crash, to cut, each familiar with our fear. Help them track this viral meme, the signal raining from prayers, from clouds, from rock, from every iPhone and street sign, from Manhattan to Mumbai to absolutely all the stars in September's sky. See them recognize this sovereign cry when everything says, beautiful boy, please, please don't go. First two words of that poem. Listen, kid. I just heard them over and over in my head. When we found out we had a nephew on the way, I wanted to write a poem to bring him into this world. And I never wanted, no matter what situation faced, for him to feel like Tyler felt. So I used those first two words and I wrote, to Oliver, not yet born. Listen, kid, I'm going to let you in on a secret I want you to put in your pocket and carry with you all your life. You are loved. Before you were even here, you were loved. This family loves you before we know anything about you, before we know the color of your hair, the sound of your voice, or what the weight of you feels like in our arms. This family loves you. And this family will love you as much tomorrow as it does today, whatever future you arrive in and exist in. No matter who you become or how you grow, this family loves you. This family loves you no matter the choices you'll make, the clothes you put on that body, or what that body can or cannot do. We'll love you through wins and losses, good days and bad, mistakes and disappointments, through every decision you make, whoever you love or don't, whatever you make of this life that is wholly and completely yours. This family loves you. Put this certainty in your pocket, kid, or bury it like treasure. The map to it is in your heart, in your memory, in the face you will see in the mirror none of us have seen yet. Return to it when you need it. Look yourself in the eyes, whatever color they are, and say it like a magic spell to summon us around you, even when we are not there. Say these words. Say, I am loved just as I am. When I was rehearsing this set and I would do those poems back to back, the electricity that just went up and down my body was just unreal. There was another thing that happened. I was thinking about my dad. This is how I'm going to close the set. You know, my dad gave me that money and it changed my life. Brought me everyone and everything that I love. And so I was thinking about it and what he would think about all this and how that gift to me really changed the face of what literature looks like in this country, what poetry looks like in this country, and how it's touched so many people's lives. So he was on my mind, and I started reading this poem, and I said the first word. I was out in our shop behind our house, and I said, I've been there for like 30 minutes. I said the first line, and the door opened. The door just opened. The wind wasn't blowing, or just, hey, Dad. So, when you lose someone, you can carry them with you. Someone you love, family member, friend, your ancestors. Write them a poem. Call them there. Poetry bends the veil. It brings them right back to us. What I want you to know. And this is the last poem in a book I wrote for my dad. And I was talking to myself. I'm talking to anybody else who's lost someone. What I want you to know. We are lucky. We've mapped our survival like fortunate pirates. We've found him in treasure and expected an inherited kitten, the swell farmland. We miss him with a terrible ache, but our lives have fallen back to the amber grass like leaves tossed in the air. We've learned taxes and mechanics, the things made larger in the sudden absence of a good father. I asked him 2 weeks before he died, what would I do without you? He said, you'd be okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. If you want to learn how interconnected we are here today, I was able to go to Nepal in 2022, and Brian is actually going to Nepal next year, and our next speaker is actually from Nepal. Samyak Shertok's debut collection, No Rhododendron, which is actually the tree of Nepal, is rhododendron, which is published by University of Pittsburgh Press, which so graciously gave us 3 books for Samyak to give to folks, and which was selected by Kimiko Han for the 2024 AWP Donald Hall Prize for Poetry. His poems appear in the Cincinnati Review, Gettysburg Review, Iowa Review, Kenyon Review, Poetry Magazine, Shenandoah, and Best New Poets. A finalist for the National Poetry Series, the Agnes Lynch Starrett Poetry Prize, and the J. Adam York Prize. He has been awarded the Robert and Adele Schiff Award for Poetry, the Gulf Coast Prize in Poetry, and the Auburn Witness Poetry Prize. Originally from Nepal, he is an assistant professor at Mississippi State University. Please welcome Samyak Shertok.
Can you hear me? I have never used a microphone
Yeah,
like
so tilt
it has to
tilt
be
it straight and then grab the little handle and bring it down.
here.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, fancy. Um, because I came all the way from Nepal, Sam very kindly has given me 25 minutes, and I promise not to take uh, a second more than 25 minutes. I've
It's
been,
worth it.
Recorded.
It's worth
So thank you, Sam. Um, I want to begin where poetry begins for me, which is my mother tongue. My mother tongue is Tamang. It's an oral mother tongue, oral language, and literally, Tamang means horse ghost. So here is the horse ghost. Mother tongue, a haunting. In my dream, the horse ghost always speaks in my mother tongue. Ta horse, ta root, mang ghost, mang dream. I grew up wearing only the hand-me-down ghost. I have never ridden a horse. Once I sat on a moving horse when the tender broken thunder broke into a gallop. I spoke in tongue. In the dream, I'm always late to the buckwheat stubble burning. Fugitive in a native negative, which is only mine. A landfill field, horses. Where did all the horses go? In Tamang, breath, motherland, and teeth come from the same root. Motherless, have you made your mother tongue? Asks the horse ghost. Today, I dream only in Tamang. Today, I speak only to Ama. Stop writing about me. I'm not a ghost yet. Ama scolds me in a ghost tongue. If to speak one's mother tongue is to keep one's mother alive, I kill my mother daily. Fluent ghost, look how fluently I speak in my step tongue. Untongue me, mother, I speak, and the horse ghost rides my lines. Don't forget to give water, mother shouts from the other shore, to the horses before you leave. When the horses birth my motherland, the vultures, there is no way to say this in English. The horse sleeps under my tongue like a mother, my ghost, my tongue, my horse, my mother, my always a dream. I'm here to tell you, it was not a dream. Once I saw a ghost, half horse, whole mother, teeth and teeth, pear blossoms. Horses have risen, mother, speak. Doing okay? I was talking about uncertain times, and I thought I would read also a poem about, well, it's really about the Maoist conflict in Nepal, a decade-long conflict that claimed over 13,000 lives and displaced hundreds of thousands of people internally and externally. This particular poem is essentially what you call a list poem, where I catalog the advice parents or parental figures give you in a time certain in these uncertain times. Uh, and each of the advice is number X. In a time of revolution, X. At the checkpoint, when they ask you where you're coming from, say home. X. When someone asks you where you live, point at the neighbor's house. X. After football, when the goalie says, the king, gun down the king, don't join the chorus of Vishnu incarnate. He will never die. X. Never wear red. X. Never wear gold star. X. At sundown, unplug the landline. X, before bed, leash the dogs. X, practice praying on your knees. X, if you're not home by midnight, go to the neighbor's house. X, never exit the house without a butter lamp burning at Bodhisattva's feet and your student ID. X, when someone asks you, doesn't your Amma teach social studies at the secondary? Say, no, she shucks the fire roasted corn at the bazaar. X, if you find our bed empty when you wake up, don't go to the police. X, practice praying still. X, bolt the windows before listening to the radio. X, never carry your textbooks in a one-polar backpack. X, never carry a book with a red sheath. X, if you see us being led away by two boys on the street, think they're my neighbor's parents. X, when a soldier points the rifle at your heart, don't you know this is the curfew hour and takes his sweet time with the frisk? Look at the stars and think, his hand is my hand. Think, I'm searching myself. X, practice praying prostrate. X, if we aren't back after a week, call the Kathmandu Post. X, when you hear coming from a window, we have a letter for you from your Appa, keep walking. X, bury the batteries beneath the persimmon tree. X, burn the one-polar backpack. X, when someone at school asks you what your Appa does, remove your beanie to show the shaved head. X, practice praying with open eyes. X, when someone asks you what you believe in, don't say the street dogs that have stopped barking. X, never draw the curtains when there's still light. X, at the checkpoint when they ask you where you're going, say home. You. I'm going to read one more poem from the Mao's conflict section. It's also the titular poem, and the poem came before the title for the book came, so for some reason it feels more special. It's really because my original title was Sky Burial, which I'll get to in a bit, but my doctoral workshop, people are like, too bad, Dana Levin already has that title. And recently she posted about my book, and I was telling her how I had to give up that title. So in a way, that's become kind of come full circle in a way. This poem is really about, say, the innocent citizens who have nothing to do politically, right? They just want to live. They just want to um, um, like I'm talking about like villagers. I'm talking about farmers, right? Like who don't participate in these things at all, like in Nepal's context. And when the different parties come at them, they are the ones who suffer, right? Both parties, government or the Maoists, doesn't matter. And at some point, you cannot tell who is who, and maybe for them, it kind of doesn't matter because they're suffering either way, right? Um, so the parties are referenced as they. No rhododendron. They came unarmed, they came half-masked, they came before the crow, they came with the moon, they came moonless, they came out of rain, they came as their enemy, they came wearing our sun's scars, they came smiling. They slaughtered the goats in burlap sacks, they gathered the batteries, pressure cookers, hunting rifles, kukris, flashlights, models, dumpus, transistor radios, for your freedom. They burned the books, they plucked the prayer bells from the lintels, they disappeared into the needleworks. They said people, they said equality, They said, one house, one soldier. They parceled up his fingers in the paper containing his feature article and left it on the editor's desk. They took my child from school while I was planting cane cuttings. 3 days later, we found his clothes flung up in a sacred fig tree, his naked body buried to the neck under the bridge. Green leaves wreathed his head. One eye was open. They drank the milk tea I had made for my Swami. He never returned. They tied my Baba's hands with his own trousers. He never returned. Not even an eyelash will be missing. My Sani never returned. My Mutu was studying for his district level finals. He never returned. We just want to have a small talk with you. We couldn't tell whether they were those who make you disappear or those who walk at night. They said no red scars. They said no pointing at the stars. They said no rhododendron. They made him wet the kukuri on a rock. They tied him to the hot plum tree with his scarf in the middle of a playground. They handed the kukuri to a former student. The commander barked, he stood cane still. The commander barked, he stood cane still. The commander barked, he swung, the tree fell. Red veined the bark. If anyone touches the body, the vermilion blackened on my hair parting is a metaphor for the vermilion blackened on my hair parting. Anyone seen in the moonlight will be shot in sight. They made him dig the hole. They scooped his kneecaps with a broken Coca-Cola bottle and buried him. The sugar in the tree you're drinking now came from the same field. You who plucked the full moon from my forehead, show me where to dig. Crows tore the sky. No one went near the plum stump. Ostrevich kept guard. They washed their hands in the mouth of the Miklifum. They drank the Miklifum from their clean, cupped hands. We returned to our bonded labor. We set the field on fire. Through the night, we cut the burning canes. I think to do something slightly different. I'm very fond of like broadsides. I don't know how many of you are, and especially when I see an artist is also really into poetry and wants to collaborate, I really get excited. I've done 3 broadsides so far, and this was the second one. It's actually an illustration, and I thought I would show it to you while I read the precarious. You guys, can you guys see it? She was doing. I saw some of her works, and I was like, "Can we collaborate?" And she said, "Yes, but I can work on it when I have nothing else to do." And she took almost 2 years to finish it, but I'm so delighted. It's supposed to be sort of a video as well, but we decided to turn it into a broadside as well. And this is a poem about my father, and it's a poem about abundance, a poem about feast, a poem about family, a poem about good excess. Right? And it's also after Liang Li, a blessing after Liang Li. Twice a year, Appa cooked his monk's half-moon dish, pumpkin blossom lamb curry. Crackle the fenugreek seeds in ghee, stir the thinly sliced baby pumpkin translucent, add a concocted paste of wild herbs steeped in buttermilk overnight, drop the smoked fatted lamb pieces, pour bone broth, let the fat begin to melt. Then spread the flowers whole on the top until they are dreaming. But before offering it to us over steamed rice, even before his gods, he would serve those who were not home. Place the filled clay bowls on the edge of the smoldering hearth in a half ring. Always bigger portions than for those politely waiting around him with clean, wet hands, which made me wish I were not there, but forgot all about it as bite after bite dissolved in my mouth, each mouthful lusher than the last, more ravenous for the next. Cliff force flesh, aged smoke, forest fragrance, rain honey dark, earth moon milk, petrichor pistils, salt, butter, gossip of the butterflies, fire of the fireflies, summer, sweet, impossible summer. Sometimes after abundance comes a loss. It's so great. It takes a year before you can even write the first word. And I'm going to read you one poem from the sequence, which is an elegy to my father, um, by Sky Burial. That's where the original title of the came from. And these are sonnets, and these are sonnets to be read from the earth to the sky. Which is in honor of the ancient Himalayan ritual where after someone passes away, the body is returned to the elements through the medium of vultures. So I'll read it to you both ways. It's the first sonnet, so in a way you get two sonnets. It's buy one get one free. By Sky Burial, sonnets to be read from the earth to the sky. X. Enough, but what is there to say to whom? Weigh the tears I won't shed soon. Someone asked from the naked dark, keen eyes, 5 winters ago. Won't you say something? Time you held my hand on the way to the terminal. Don't touch the body, a voice reminds me. The last into song. I look at the sky splayed on linen, but what can I offer? I have no hands to gather salt. Harder, I want to keep you a little longer. You'll make the dead linger, she cries bees. No more Nana, her sister's coo. Somewhere behind me, Amma breaks her prayer. Feathers crust to black salt, I feel nothing. I kneel beside your bed, I see a crow. I kneel beside your bed, I see a crow, feathers crust to black salt, I feel nothing. Somewhere behind me, Amma breaks her prayer beads. No more Nana, her sister's coo, you will make the dead linger. She cries harder. I want to keep you a little longer, but what can I offer? I have no hands to gather salt into song. I look at the sky splayed on linen. Don't touch the body, a voice reminds me. The last time you held my hand on the way to the terminal 5 winters ago. Won't you say something? Someone asked from the naked dark, keen eyes weigh the tears I won't shed soon enough. But what is there to say to whom? You, I'll read two more. Is that okay? Two more poems. I have to read two more because I very ambitiously brought one more broadside, and that was very special. I don't think she is here. Lily is here. She is a former student of mine at Hendrix College, a fantastic poet and a visual artist. And when my book was coming out, I started admiring her visual art, and she offered to do some broadsides to celebrate her book. I said, yes, please. Um, and only when I walked into her studio did I realize how like meticulous and labor intensive this thing was. So this is pressure printing. Those are the visual artists you would know. Pressure printing, letterpress, linoleum block relief, and it's printed on Wonderbook SP20, and that letterpress thing was heavy. Like, and Lily is tiny. And I didn't have the courage to like try to lift it, but she was lifting it. That made it even more impressive. Um, and this poem is for my dear mouth of the horse ghost, April, Salt Lake City. I woke up to the snow again. I couldn't tell how long it had been snowing. Backyard sheathed with powder breath. I feared for the apricot blossoms. In the living room, I parted the curtains. The hawthorn in the front yard was hacked open. Under the weight of the snow-laden branches, half the tree had buckled, blocking to the entrance to the house and the next door church's driveway. Poor guy, I texted my landlord along with the picture. Passerines flung themselves into the inverted sky, perched on the live wire. A squirrel crouched still at the end of a snow-padded canopy, his tail hung interrogative. His eyes looked open but didn't stir. I thought, the hawthorn is dreaming. Fairies dusting the thorn door from the other side. I'll say a prayer, my landlord texted back. Be up with a saw for surgery. Very old. You are over 80 now, though no one knows the year you were born. The hens that filled every morning with the smell of butter tea. I don't want to die, you said mid-prayer one night, owing anyone anything. My landlord arrived with his toy poodle and poor social skills. Just a big weed, he spat and put the electric saw to work. From the window, I watched him hew off the tree limb by limb, haul them into a mound of the snow by the apricot. I thought, a small monument of loss. I thought, bonfire. One morning, I'll wake up and you won't be there. If with every sip I remember your hands, what will we owe each other? After the sun opened the sky and the branches began dripping, I went for a walk. The squirrel was gone. Where the tree broke, no rings, a tooth wound. The barren bark of what remained sent forth some green. With a self-love poem. And before reading the poem, I again want to thank Catherine, Catherine. This is the inaugural festival, Hot Springs Poetry Festival, and even though I had to drive 6 hours nonstop, I I'm a baby poet with a debut book, right? And I always want to support the baby things, the newborn things. I wish long life for this festival. Thank you, collective team, for having us. Thank you all for being here. There are some familiar faces which are very special to me. Great to see you all again. And the new faces, of course, are always more special in its own way. And speaking of self-love, I came here with a bag load of books. So I hope you will not send me back to Nepal with all those books and these broadsides. And this poem is a poem, a poetic form called like "Someday I'll Love," and the poet's name, right? It's often attributed to Frank O'Hara, but the title comes from Frank O'Hara, but the poem itself has nothing to do with Frank O'Hara because Frank O'Hara is like writing a persona poem from a girl's perspective, who is playing the piano or playing whatever by the piano, and then he's writing from her perspective, and it's like someday I'll love Frank O'Hara, right? That's what he says in the poem, and other poets took it to a whole different dimension. I think Liang Li is the one who really wrote a poem of this nature first, but he did not title it that way. For me, in a way, I think it's really the poem's heart comes from Liang Li. Someday I'll love Samyak Shertalk. Thank you all for being. Nomad, no. The heart rock dust only thirst. What monsoon does the peacock feather she pressed in your counterfeit passport haunt still? Longing is longer. Not every tear is an illiterate mother hauling a jackal from the ashes of an effigy. Let fall the salt. Bless the earth that swallows gorillas like pomegranate seeds and sends forth not elegy. Fame of flame, it burns. Blindfold yourself with a prayer flag and keep walking past the van marked with zip-tied boys. Nomad, breathe. Here because you're here. In no man's land, every way is the middle way. Don't wait for Dakini. The wound is the lotus. Kiss the moon tongues, the bruised mud honey. You are never alone. Listen. On the wet people branch, griffin vultures speak in tongues, mistaking you for an amanuensis of the dead. Breath is only a breath away from the gurney. Your motherland, son of the sky buried, is forced in pinions. Holding a paper lantern, your daughter searches for you in a city of famished monks. Bless the breath that returns. This exile, a boat, barbed wire gunneled, street dog oared, bearing you from you to you. You prayed for spring, and here you are, chanting your ancestors' names in a live tongue. Today, Nostos to the valley, not yet the snow leopard grave. Papyrus opens the landlocked land. Persimmons, a bowl of butter tea. X, here, drink.
Okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute intermission, so it is 6:33. I expect you all to be back here. What, 10 minutes later, 6:44? What is that? I don't know.
But you know, wait,
Oh, yes, the door prize is still happening for Writers Colony. Oh, during the intermission. These are good plans. I like this.
Also, don't forget to check out, we have shirts, we have tote bags, we do You have Zine. If you did submit and
Yeah.
get your poem published in the Zine, you can feel free to pick those up.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
That's
Yeah. Okay, whatever.
that's why our volume is still muted.
Okay. What's up?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Chilling.
Well, yeah. How's it going? How push it down? It was pretty good.
Breakfast drink photo shoot I've ever done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How pregnant, what person?
Dude.
It's for like, very.
Yeah. Yeah. My camera's about to die, but I'll still be here.
Okay, yeah.
I take a breather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You changed for 20 for Z? Oh, beautiful.
And how are you? Yes, it's been. How are you?
I'm good.
How is, are you become?
Maybe.
Very good. Really are. That's
It just feels better.
I just want you to be brother. Oh, it's on the beat. Yeah, I have asthma. Yeah, double plant.
I mean, most, I'm just doing this, help,
There is gonna go.
Oh, yeah, there's the shirts.
Yeah. But nothing about your town.
How's it going?
Yeah, that got hurt.
Love that was my partner.
Partner, oh, your partner. You got those together. Oh, and like rooming,
What's that?
was it rooming?
Oh,
Staying with you?
well, Melon is my, like, girlfriend,
Oh, yeah.
and so they got to.
Have I met? I don't.
Maybe sure.
That's right. Getting better. Now,
Then about a month ago.
there's a trauma. Trauma that you need to take.
But most now it's just like,
Oh, it's like.
it's like, it's a proposal to tell.
Yeah, man, you invited me, I thought, why not back from there? So, I ended up, oh, it's that time, I better jump up, so I ended up making up some, stories. Yeah, that was, coconut story back,
That's not fair.
we're in my own story, vegetarian delight, and some vegan stuff.
I'm just,
Choice, so, you get better normal, oh, you would, right?
great. I'm not even sick or anything. So I could just come up and sometimes.
Come on out. That's like,
I'm gonna go,
yeah, I'm gonna go.
right.
It's the big party glass jump.
Well, I'm glad you were getting
Start walking on back.
Okay. I'll see you soon. The only way to do it.
Okay, the results are in. The winner is. Yeah, where's the- come on. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Jen Hartnett.
I also wanted to give Jen a special gift. On the cover of every single zine is a painting of Bud Kinney, and I wanted to give Jen the original painting.
All right, there's, no rush here. Truth.
Are we still hungry for poetry? Next up is a storyteller. Greg Brownderville is the author of 3 books of poetry, the editor-in-chief of Southwest Review, and a professor of English at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. He is also the creator of an online narrative series called Firebones, and also the lead singer of a band called Beekeeper Spaceman. Please welcome Greg Brownderville.
Thank you, Sam, and thanks to Sam and Catherine for putting all this together. I run a festival in Dallas called Frontera, so I know how much work goes into it. I really appreciate y'all. And it's been great to be back in Arkansas. I live in Dallas now, but miss this state, and I'm kind of mad at Samyak because I think Mississippi State's about to beat the Razorbacks. Yeah. Oh well, but we'll make up over that. Because he's a huge, I don't know if y'all know this about Samyak, but he's a huge football fan. I mean, he's like, don't even get him started talking about football. You can't shut him up. Samyak and I used to work together at SMU, Dallas, so we got good friends during his time there. All right, this poem is called Yellow Umbrella. I pop my yellow umbrella every time it's rain and go out in the whirlwind, whether or not I go. One time the mud got my boots. I puddling in my socks if need be. It bogs the mind with all I see. Dusk, I found a car curse in the road, and the glass beads fell on deaf ears. I said, Jesus of Lazarus, is that you? And he said, no, it's Eddie Rabbit. Ha. This poem is called The Sixteen Chapel. If it's one place I want to see, the Sixteen Chapel. Michelangelo made it back when Christ roamed the earth, and I did dream I walk right in. It's quite amazing before my every eyes. Long behold, I said to me, it's God colors everywhere, 16 heaven, and I need to find the Jesus in my heart. This is called Dark Fader. My dream is coming through. I star in way so many plays at a theater called the Also. Yesteryule, I was Casper, come from far. I brung my myrrh to the baby genius. All this accolades and me no more than 30 years of old. Still, it has not solved my life. I know from the get-go, it ain't nothing that ever happened on that stage can fix my heart. This fall, we do the Star Wars. I stay up dark at night. When it's all said and done, I hope somebody remember. I'm afraid I might not remember how much beautiful I was. Okay, and this one is called Missmas. It is Yule, and I don't know where I am. When I was a kid of a boy, I found the Christmas crib. Mother Mary knew me and would sit a spell and sing and count the raindrops on the reindeer. How I miss the Christmas boy, plus the Yuleman's ho ho. He go on Donder, on Blixen, Cupid, Dancer, Answer, yes, I'm missing. Show me, where is Merry Christmas? It is Yule, and I don't know I am. It's nobody home. It's nobody home. All right. And this will be my last one. It's called Turquoise Limousines. Some people dies in vain. Junkies cardiac arrested. All he needed to eat some gardens and quit them pool hall where he drank 1,000 largers. Let me tell you, death will get you. Death will get you in the goozle. Mama, she was choking out, and nobody knew the hemlock. Then a week or two later, here in Creamery Package, Arkansas, right in the bright of the day, I caught Jehovah turning flips on top of turquoise limousines. Lord, Lord, thy will be done. Only give us the grace to stand it. Thank you.
Particularly festive element to Greg Brownderville is that he's actually from Pumpkin Bend, Arkansas. So shout out to the pumpkins that bend. Our next poet is somebody I've been a fan of for a long time, ever since I knew about poetry happening in Arkansas. I learned about Sandy Longhorn at UCA, and I am amazed at her blogging skills. I have always loved her blog. Sandy Longhorn is the author of 3 poetry collections, most recently, The Alchemy of My Mortal Form. Honored as a Porter Fund Literary Prize recipient, Longhorn teaches at the University of Central Arkansas. Please welcome Sandy Longhorn.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Catherine, Collective, all of y'all be able to say, I was there at the beginning of the Hot Springs Poetry Festival, which long may it live. The hard act to follow, Greg Brownderville, y'all. So I just, over the last 2 years, have been writing my next book of poetry, which right now is simply called 52 Parts, 52 Poems. You may or may not know, but Arkansas is home to 52 state parks. And when I wanted to write a new book, I knew that it took about 48 pages of poetry to make a book. And hey, there are 52 parks, and that math seemed to work. So I have now successfully visited all of the parks and have written all but 12 of the poems. So I don't know about all of you, but when I first think about the words state park, I think about Lake Catherine State Park, Pinnacle Mountain State Park, Petty Jean, Devil's Den, the nature places. But Arkansas has quite a few parks that are actually things like museums and cemeteries and things that aren't necessarily hiking up mountains when you go to them. And sometimes these are the more troubling emotional places to go. So we're going to start with the more troubling. This one is Conway Cemetery State Park, but it is nowhere near Conway, Arkansas. It is in the far southwestern part of the state, almost to Louisiana. Troubled ground in memoriam. Conway Cemetery State Park. Here lie the bones of James Sevier Conway, first governor of Arkansas, man who mapped the territory, who knew fertile ground from barren and how important the muscles of a river. Here lies a plot of land 170 years protected on the edge of a green pasture gone to cattle now. No remnants of cotton. Here lie the family graves, headstones standing mute watch over 6 generations, guarded by stout fences and the trees that gave their names to Walnut Hill, a 2,000-acre plantation. Here, all is ordered and accounted, plots platted by a master surveyor. We can read the stones and say their names. On one sign, a family tree to help us place one body in relation to another. Nearby, reproduction photographs of oil portraits. Conway and his wife, Mary Jane, nay Bradley, gaze at us with gentle eyes, soft gaunt faces, and only once do we see mention of the human beings owned and forced to labor. His will divided his estate, including the enslaved population. As for a display to point the way to their plowed over graves, the green tunnel of trees must hold that secret, must bear the weight of silence. And continuing in that historic vein, there are 4 very tiny state parks in south central Arkansas dedicated to the Red River Campaign, which was one of the major Civil War battles that happened in Arkansas. And this is a high bun for perhaps what's the most famous of those 4. Here, Confederates clashed with federal foragers. Poison Springs Battleground State Park. Late afternoon, full sun, February light cuts a thin stand of loblolly pines. Trim trunk shadows cast long strips to bar the land carpeted in needles. On the trail to the springs, they say the locals poisoned to kill the Union. Beech trees bear the scars of past hikers' carved initials, peppered with stars. Thin bark once scored carries the wound for life. People picnic now on ground made fertile by spilled blood, ripped flesh, disintegrating bone, the northern and the southern of the species. Sunset, ghosts in the canopy, laments hummed in unaccented tongues. A little farther forward in history, we have Plantation Agriculture Museum, and this piece is an acrostic poem, which is just a fancy way of saying I wrote a poem in response to a photograph I saw at this park. A former slave receives her pay. Plantation Agriculture Museum State Park. In the photo dated 1883, the Black woman stands in clothes that cover every inch of skin, her jacket misbuttoned, the apron over her skirt stained. At least her bonnet is untied and loosened. She's been picking cotton all week and has come to be paid for her labor. 3 baskets, each as large as she is, balance behind her. In her right hand, she extends to the photographer a fistful of cotton, bowls that swallow her hand, the fluff so white it blurs into the hazy sky over her shoulder. Her left hand out to her side, palm up and flat, shows the coins she's received. Not enough in number to cover the ungloved skin, the scars and new bleeding wounds from reaching into the dried bramble of plants under the baking sky of South Arkansas. The caption tries to convince me she is proudly displaying what keep she's earned. but I zoom in and read an outraged expression. I hear her challenge the photographer, waving her right hand over the baskets. All this, and turning to her left hand before glaring into the lens. For such a pittance. She rages and grieves against the fingers pressing hard on the underside of a crooked scale, her eyes tracking my progress as I walk through a room built by her near broken back. So those were just a few of the tougher visits, and now we'll go to a little bit lighter theme of visiting some of those more active, the natural state parks. Missed connection, Cane Creek State Park. I want to talk again to the man from Ohio, the one with the handmade wooden kayak, glossed to a high shine, the ropey muscles of his arms, proof of the labor he committed to bend steamed boards to the curving hull. As we passed each other on Cane Creek Lake, he called out in wonder, "These lily pads, I've never seen so many." And it was April, not yet the time for blooming, but the strength of those muddy roots, the pliant stalks wending up through water, covered the surface in green leaf overlapping green leaf, a thick coverlet around which we paddled. I'd been chasing a flock of coots I'd never catch, and silhouette gazing at the cormorants perched in skeletal flooded out trees, the sun at their backs as they raised their wings to dry. So I was caught off guard, turning back to consider the lilies over which, when I'd first passed by, I'd only paused to note how torn the edges, how rusted the scars left from the flat-bottom boats nudging in, the lures and lines dragging through in search of hidden prey. I didn't stop to think, then, about the ways abundance, too, is beauty. Just have two more for you all, and those of you that know me know I've been going through a long period of heart sickness. Hopefully we're on the end of it, but it frames your world. You're going through it. So this one is for all of you hometown people from Hot Springs. It's Trail Song for the Lonely Hearted, Lake Ouachita State Park. On the trail, I tread on quartz and crystal, fragments mixed with sand and shale, the milky whites and fragile pinks distinct against gray rock and burnt orange soil. At the boulder field, I come up short before a hefty stone, one entire facet fused with a thick mineral vein. Which body clings to which, and with what? Only an outlaw chisel and a hammer blow could cleave the mated pair in two. Still, my right hand reaches down to ghost across the imperfect plane. Farther on, sunlight strikes the flawed ridges of a half-inch crystal near my toe. I bend, pluck loose the shard, and rub away the grit. Truth be told, I break the rules. I pocket it to carry home alone. This is my last one. It's one of the most recent ones I've written, and I actually wrote it at Jerry Hollow at the end of September. So I highly recommend booking your time because the magic will happen and the words will appear before you. Song of Fog and Lovers Lost, Queen Wilhelmina State Park. These mountains will not wake amid the fog. The distant valley view obscured, and water streaks all the glass for looking through. It coalesces, falls, desperate to respond to gravity's call. Trails in these conditions will make you slow. The air wrapping your body in mist, the thick sheen on every leaf, rock, and bloom, begging you to pause and pay devotion. And who waits for you anyway? Isn't this mountain all about one lover leaping from a cliff, heartsick when her other is lost in battle far away? Who cares if you can't claim such drama? You may as well carry your cracked and ordinary heart, deliberate step by deliberate step, and at the edge, precarious as that first fumbling kiss, raise up your arms, breathe deep, and sing off key of your laments. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Sandy. I love the Lake Washington. I'm always trying to find my queer family, especially my queer poetry family. And I find that with our next poet, A.C. Clark, who actually met my roommate, Alice. Did you meet Alice? Yeah, great. My roommate when I was in Fayetteville. So A.C. Clark is a writer from Florida and Georgia, a former writing fellow at the Fine Arts Work Center in Provincetown. He teaches in the Film, Theater, and Creative Writing Department at the University of Central Arkansas and as an instructor at Interlochen Center for the Arts. His debut collection, Small Talk, was selected by Derek Austin for the Hub City Press New Southern Voices Poetry Prize and will be published in 2026. We're so excited for that. His work is forthcoming in Quarterly West, Salamander, the Arkansas International, and Best New Poets 2025. Please welcome A.C. Clark.
You're always bumping into old friends.
Right.
Thank you all for having me. I'm new to Arkansas, but I feel absolutely delighted to be here. You arrive at a place and you don't expect to suddenly be surrounded by queer brilliance. Brian, Kai, absolutely become my heroes, and I feel always delighted to. Samyak has actually been one of my favorite poets for like 6 years, 7, and to get to encounter some new favorite poets. So thank you very much for having me. Very delighted to be here as part of the festival. I'm going to start with a poem that is one of those poems I'm always walking back into. This poem is called Self-Portrait as Orpheus. Dog no longer recognizes my voice. At the window, call his given name. Spoken to, he runs in circles, looks up to the sound, but can't seem to see me. Last. That, or he no longer recognizes my face either. I can see my face now, though, or back. Sometimes it takes me a second to remember. I gave up my forever face for this one. I wanted to feel right, to align out with within, to get inside of the word who, to feel I am. Under my eyes' constant photography, I look for traces of that forever I looked at my face for the last time. Wanted to. I saw nothing changed. Becoming was how I was right there when I turned me around. I selfed a little. I felt selfish. So I selfed a little. I can start to stop, but I can't start over. My forever face softens in reverse photography. When I touch that picture, my hands lift from the puddle window, still reflecting our face. The right light. Glass jumps out of, back into its frame. Not all mirrors mean to mirror. These eyes have always been my eyes. Dog is inside now, looking out. searching for whoever it is. See there. Um, and picking out what I was going to read tonight, I was thinking a lot about queer elders, and I was thinking a lot about what it means to be part of a lineage. And I do a little bit of translating, and somebody that I've loved translating is Sandro Pinner, is a gay Italian poet. And this poem kind of came out of the awkwardness of translation and versions, and different versions of ourselves who kind of layer up over time. This poem is called Il Solito Parole, which translates to usual. I believe I loved you from the moment I sent you that Sandro Pinna poem where he kisses his lover's armpits and you went right out to the library to borrow his collected. But I didn't know how to know, so I called the knowing thief. Once world was formless. What was formed then? Did Earth become a form in forming, or did it form itself? This is impossible to know. That's part of it, say. In the first conversation we had alone, you asked how I lived with those habitual contradictions, what I could explain but hadn't chosen to change yet. We were both still drinking then. It was cold in Philadelphia, still so early what became a long year. I wish I could say one doesn't manage, or that it's unbearable, that an examined life can't bear its awareness, but it wasn't. I mean, I did manage. It was my life. I lived it, thinking I knew, but I had only come. In one translation of the poem, summer fails, and in another, just goes wrong. At your wedding, I didn't say, I'll do it. And I'll regret that silence long after you've left them. It's June again. So we spend our days on poems, on the phone, trading pages, not drinking, and summer joins the usual words we say to know. This next poem is never fun to read when I'm outside of the South. Who loves a golden corral? and when I first read this poem, it was in the Northeast, and everyone was like, I know. Right? I was a childhood barrel racer, and that is where I learned that being a cowboy was my first gender. Crystal Light, Golden Corral. Those first few years of seeing voices on paper, I didn't think of this as reading yet. I wanted to speak back to the page, that secret language which let objects talk and gave the horses in my book the ability to name themselves and imbued nearly all names with extra meaning, if not a whole second hidden life. I wondered who gathered the light for the powder my nana stirred into lemonade, and how they got this light from crystals, and what kind of rock turned light sour in tap water. The first word I learned to write was my given name, written in exchange for ice cream at the Golden Corral. My favorite, for I still rode horses back then and pictured us all as horses in line for soft serve. Under the heat lamps, I traded the letters for another run around the restaurant to feed my private hunger to be free of my name. Made secret by strangers not knowing it. In the Golden Corral, I could rear up on my hind legs, throw back my neck, and they would call me Peach Pie, Sweet Danny, Brother Guy, Storm. I thought surely, as I beat my hoofs against the certain lines of the letters of my given name, one of us would turn into what we both found ourselves trying to believe we could mean. I've admired C.D. Wright since I knew what a poem was. And when I came here, I feel like the shape of that love changed. It took actual form. And this poem
was one when returning to CD Wright, as I feel like I do most falls. I really felt her speaking to me, knowing I was coming here for this and knowing she was going to kind of at the core and at the heart of it. Talking with her poem really gave me a friend. So she has a poem called Lake Echo Deer, and this is after that one. It's called Lake Michigan Deer, after CD Wright. We tongue our way through cherries until our mouths are full of loose teeth. We dreamed I had fully awake. In the distance, a loon howls like a wolf, an owl, child. At this distance, I dream awake to speak to our future child about birds and fruit and her two countries. Early on in our love, there was a conversation. We dreamt up a life with enough room, a daughter. Soon after, the algorithms churned out an androgynous chorus promising the possibility of our particular kind of life together. To be seen by being surveilled, the transparency of it. Jose says one day he will dream back to this moment, thinking of it fondly as a time where he was less surveilled. Jachi says their children will become their children in the wake of a revolution or not at all. You ask, what counts as a revolution? You want a child with an impossible face, ours. Do I believe any life could be complete? I worry about our daughter so much. I wonder if she will ever, could ever, might be. Just two more. This poem, so I moved here from Alabama, and I'm still, every time I've tried to revisit this poem, I've wanted to change it to Arkansas, but it feels important that it's Let's Stay Gay in Alabama. But let's stay gay in Arkansas too. That's my pitch here. We'll stay gay in both. How about that? Let's stay gay in Alabama. Across the street from our apartment, someone has hung a pink American flag, across which blue suit arms open like wings fluttering under cursive font, Daddy's home. On the same street, before I knew you, have I told you this? A group of drunk men once swallowed me up like a phagocytic cell. They spat me back out, spat on. People like to say you can't hate from up close, but I could smell the brand of beer on their breath. At a march for Palestine, you kept your gaze forward to keep from seeing any of your students' faces in the crowd of counter-protesters, the chorus in red, slinging slurs. Whenever we leave, everyone wants to know why we stay, as if leaving is an option, open and easy for anyone's body, as if an elsewhere exists in this country where nobody is a white nationalist, as if good things don't happen here, as if this isn't where you and I both happened. In the church you grew up in, queer people didn't exist, and there was never music, but now you spend your days singing poetry for that silence. I've told every field on the farm where I work that I am trans and I am in love with you. The fields speak back in tones of chard and radishes and okra and tomatoes coming forth from the clay that opens to my hands, teaching my body the good tired of loving anything this hard. This is hard. We are good and tired on this side of the street, on this side of our bed, but when our curtain waves in the breeze from the window, it is nothing like a flag. We are undone, spent. I want to spend my body with you. And for this place, everyone says happiness is in leaving. They tell us it's all over. We can still leave our happiness all over Alabama. Thank you all so much. It's really been a delight to be here and to be in this lineup. was intimidating and also invigorating. So I'm going to ride that high and read a brand new poem. Terrifying new shit. Yes, absolutely. You may have heard there's been some interesting discourse about trans people lately in the news. And the most recent one I saw was labeling trans people as a whole, which is again ridiculous, as nihilistic violent extremists. And I was interested in this semantically. I was like, the word nihilist is fascinating. The word violent is fascinating. The word extremist is fascinating. So I thought I'd sort of write a response to this designation. Self-portrait as nihilistic violent extremist. I do believe that nothing matters, that nothingness is plenty for us to despair over. I believe in the rejection of some principles. Who wouldn't, if asked to consider both sides of a contradiction? Some things are impossible to communicate. My love for Duke's mayonnaise. The grace of sobriety, my partners laugh, and they laugh on the phone with their parents, these conversations in Mandarin I can't yet understand, but am part of with these people I love and haven't gotten the chance to meet. Speaking objectively, to be objected to would make anyone skeptical of the principles being used to govern them. That family views a particular view of a family. Views of the family might mean our marriage will become state-specific. It was one thing to be legislated out of existence, but the disapproval of our being was given another name this week. Nihilist, violent, extremist. Can transness both not be, and being trans must mean this? Nihilist means nothing, not at all in vain, the end. At the other end, we have pilum, a small thing, a trifle. There was so much rain this week. The woods we walked remembered our feet as we stepped. A small pattern we made in the world, a long line that formed a kind of path that we were walking. We walked a long way. Yes. I've thought about violence. I've carefully considered the proposition that I should not exist. I've decided against it. To keep living. And I thank myself for myself every day. This I was nearly done. Yes, it is a small thing, but it's never been nothing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, AC. As somebody who is also trans, non-binary, it's really amazing that we have poets like you just out here. So thank you. Our next poet, Kalina Smith, she, her, is mostly a poet, though she also writes fiction and one of my favorites, creative nonfiction. She teaches high school English, where she spends her days nurturing young storytellers and navigating the emotional labor of the classroom. Her work has appeared in Nebo, The Ignatian, Claire, The Flagler Review, One Art, a Journal of Poetry, Tulsa Review, and others. She served as the poetry editor for Shadow Play during the spring of 2025. Her first chapbook, Scorpio Season, was published by Kelsey Books. You can find her on Instagram at Kalina Smith Poetry or her website, kalinasmith.com. Please welcome Kalina Smith.
Say, y'all hear me?
Pull it up. Raise it up. You feel like a bike.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I just want to say thank you so much to Sam and Catherine for having me. I'm very, very new to all of this, so I feel so
grateful to be here and to be thought of. Um, I'm going to be reading some poems from my chapbook, Scorpio Season, which came about honestly last year. I was writing poetry like crazy, and I realized there was a common theme, and that is that I've got an issue with Scorpio voice. And it's interesting because I'm also a Scorpio. My birthday is tomorrow. Yeah. I can imagine a better way to spend my birthday weekend. So I'm going to read the titular poem called Scorpio Season. Auburn leaves crush under my feet as I walk next to camellias, and a rushing river pounds my ears. I remember November's past as I pull my jacket around my shoulders. How I was due on December 21st, but made my arrival on the second day of the 11th month. I refused to be a Capricorn, knowing I belonged under the Scorpio sign. Eagles fly, lizards hide, but scorpions sit in waiting, intense as the desert sun. These are the ones with whom I identify for their passion and loyalty, how they never strike first, but will sting if provoked. Goldenrod leaves fall around my feet as I walk next to azaleas, and a pleasant brook drums in my ears. My stinger hides behind my jacket, but stays poised. So this next poem is dedicated to Alyssa, who's my best friend. Also, I want to say thank you to her and Chandler, my other best friend, for coming all the way from Jonesboro to be here with me. But I wrote this because me and Alyssa have been roommates for I don't know how long now. And one day I just thought about her standing in our living room and how much her being there means to me. So this is called To Alyssa. In these little hours of respite, I've sit in mismatched socks and a bralette with sleep pants, chapped lips, and wind-bitten cheeks. I think about you, my best friend, standing in our apartment in your floral robe, across from the Christmas tree that's still up in late January. How we met in elementary school, little ladybugs on the playground. But our paths rarely crossed until high school electives let us fly in the same loveliness. We learned it's the name of a group of ladybugs in science class. We created mobile games, sang hymns, we wrote silly, naughty stories, and bonded over Pokemon. I remember the first time I came to your house, eating nachos and chicken tenders, because that's what I requested. Then we watched a goofy vampire movie until I fell down the stairs to your trailer, spraining my ankle so badly. I was up at 2 a.m. in pain, but still thankful I'd gone. Now you pick up my cat in our living room, meowing back at him and nuzzling his head. A light bulb sparks in my brain at how much I can love someone so brightly, like a trusty nightlight, always glowing and prepared to lead me out of the dark. There's been a lot of queer joy here tonight, which makes me really, really emotional. But you know, we as queer people get to choose our family, and Alyssa and Chandler are mine. So this next one is a villanelle about one of those Scorpio boys. My mom hates this poem because she hates tattoos, but it's one of my favorites. It's called Black Work. I want to tattoo my body until there's no skin left. Cover up the scars, raise an angry white, ink up the heart inside my chest. I'll start with things you love, like music fests, smoking weed, horror movies, and UFC fights. I want to tattoo my body until there's no skin left. You'll see butterflies and clovers when I'm undressed, song lyrics from Late Nights Gone and floral scenes, inking up the heart inside my chest. The needles will become one with my arms to cover the lines, remnants of cardiac arrest. I want to tattoo my body until there's no skin left. In the center of my breast, I'll dedicate to you a crest with shades of purple, red, and green, inking up the heart inside my chest. So that maybe in my body you'll become a permanent guest. Run your hands over the healed skin, white. I'm going to tattoo my body until there's no skin left. Black ink filling up the heart inside my chest. So this next one, kind of inspired by that same boy, but also South or the Delta in general. Because I'm from a very, very small town in Arkansas called Cherry Valley. Probably none of you know where that's at, but it's over by Jonesboro. If you don't know where that's at, it's over by Memphis. So, so this one's called From the Dewey's Creek. I don't rightly know why the deep creek rises, or why the Chuck Will's Willet Widow only sings at nighttime, when the moon is high and the stars make up a neon sign. Spring in the south, it ain't no count, full of twisters and flash floods, not spinning a storm cellar if you're lucky, or a bathtub if you aren't. Once the drainage ditches flood, I always find myself thinking, should I drown myself in one of those, or a bottle of rock gut whiskey? I don't care which, just as long as it's siphoned right into my lungs. Then it's summertime, and hotter than blazes, under the blistering Delta sun. 100 degrees in the shade with humidity to match. It ain't that fun, even at the local swimming holes. Just another place to drown. You know, I'm plumb tired of trying to convince myself to stay above the water. No matter the season, you're in the back of my brain and the front of my heart. And me, I'm waiting in blood. This one's gonna be my last one. It's also about growing up in the Delta, but it's a little less intense. I thought I'd end on kind of a positive note. This is called A Night in My Parents' Yard. On a humid night, I buried myself in Delta mud while a whippoorwill sang an obnoxious tune, nagging sheriff in to rouse me. As I emerged from the mud, I caught a whiff of honeysuckle and blackberries. A fence of thorns kept me at bay, like a hound dog in a tiny gated yard. The ground squelched under my bare feet. I ambled with only the lemony half moon, an occasional lightning bug to brighten my way. Sometimes I go searching in the dead of night, and I don't know where. Stumbling blindly, cutting the soles of my feet on sharp rocks and oak leaves, the autumn wind did not blow away. Hoots from great horned owls warn us, and the stray cats and dogs my mama feeds, kibble and leftovers, because she can't stand to see a living thing go hungry. Of coyotes and the occasional black panther. They're not native to the area, but one night on a drive with my daddy, one jumped out in front of his groaning truck, and we looked at each other like hikers coming upon a cryptid. Maybe Bigfoot lives in those woods too. Maybe I was looking for him, or maybe I was looking for that panther. Its eyes glowed amber like the full moon, paralyzing me when I was just a child, and my parents seemed so young. Now that I'm older, so are they, and I fear for them to age. I wrapped my arms around myself. Was it a sudden summer wind that chilled me, or the thought of my grandparents? While the squirrels slept, a choir of bullfrogs sang to remind me I wasn't alone. The coyotes might have been prowling, but little brown bats also flew above my head. If not for these creatures, I'd have been by myself in the blackness as I heard the gurgling faucet of a creek. The water was seductive, so I went in knee deep, the muddiness grazing my denim, the brim nibbling at my toes and algae slipping through them. Farther and farther from home, I should have wondered why I left my map at the house and brought no flashlight, stepping in dirty water with heads on my feet, directionless. Amid sycamore branches and lunar moss, there was silence. That peaceful nothing was enough, and I sank back into Delta mud. Sorry, my voice got some shaky at the end. I remembered where I was. Also, like I said, can't believe that I'm here with all these incredible poets. Thank you again, Sam and Catherine.
Thank you so much, Kalina. Our next poet the man, the myth, the legend. Tony Garcia Butler is a community artist rooted in Little Rock, Arkansas. His work centers his people, Black, Filipino American, Southern, trans, queer, and everyone existing within intersections. Named by the Arkansas Times as Arkansas's best poet of 2025. Tony strives to capture the intricacies of lived experiences and connect with others. And I feel that with Tony. He writes as an act of resistance, approaching poetry as a personal archivist and preserving his culture in a world that aims to erase it. Thank you for your archives, Tony.
Okay, cool. Thank you, and thank Catherine and everyone else who's at the Hot Springs Poetry Festival for putting this labor of love together, and all of you for filling this coffee shop and for waiting for me at the end of the night. I'm very happy to close this out, and I know I have 15 minutes, and I promise, starting my timer now. Y'all are gonna get to party after. Okay. So I do write as I consider poetry an act of personal archiving. We are capturing feelings that are contained in a moment. We are capturing how we experience that moment and we're sharing with others. But I'm going to tell you about myself with this poem that I wrote shortly after I gave myself my name, Tony Wade. Tony has been through heart. They've been through betrayal. Tony has been through baptisms upon baptisms of born again selves. Waters wash away what was carried by the name before, weight that made him sink into the depths of a someone who didn't fit anymore. Ooh, Tony. They laid himself to rest on the mountain, a moment divine, 9 years in the making, crying tears to anoint the face of his own creation, who gazed upon the gods, who saw his glow overcome. Tony waded through the storm, empowered by rage, blessed by the skies. He feels good. Yeah, it feels good to leave it all behind. And now, Tony is shedding skins. Goodbye, eldest daughter. Goodbye, confused kid. Goodbye, cowering lover. Goodbye, Catholic guilt. Goodbye, cis miscarriage. Goodbye, imposed life. Let them fall down the flow of the river who carried you. Love how intertwined we all are. I love that we hear poems about state parks, and I wrote that after a retreat at Petty Gym. I love that we heard from a teacher. Are there any other teachers who are here with us? I know I sat at a table of educators. I wrote this poem. I work with youth in our libraries up in Little Rock. And I wrote this poem about a library kid. I came to the library after spending time in the middle school classroom, and I said, I'm going to trans my gender. I don't think that's a good idea to do that right here, right now. But I really love those awkward years of middle school. This is The Fire Hangs On to 14. I am 14 going on 15, and that means I'm old enough to be punished and penalized for misconceptions, being lied on by someone writing for teachers, but young enough to skip across the library for a second popsicle on Star Wars Day. May the fourth be with you, or whatever I gotta say to get it. May I go to the ice cream store on the corner before my mama pick me up, or is 14 going on 15 or not old enough to be trusted on your word? Let me finish what I'm saying, cause you'd rather run with what you heard from grown folks who ain't even seen the shit go down. 14 going on 15 is young enough for your folks to take our new phone, old enough to grind to the bone to earn it back. But mama said, treat others the way you want to be treated. So she better not get heated when I buy my own just because I'm not grown enough to run my life like that. But 14 going on 15 is old enough to draw my dreams where all y'all finally listen to me. And candy bars flow free like rivers. I can only hope grow just as deep. People want to listen to 14-year-olds, and people love to talk at the library. So I love to listen to that kid who finally gets a chance for a grown-up to actually listen. Ooh, 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 ooh. Fun times, and now we are in the times. This poem is inspired by some of my first times at Pride. Firstly, at Conway Pride. And I'll tell you more about this poem after I read it. I don't want to waste all my time. Because there's something about Pride in the South. We are out, grown, and tired of a town who used to come alive with color. Pink houses, flagged havens, now lost in centuries censured purple, reborn great again red, and God hates fags, at least that's what they said. And that might be true since every June we marched through humid hell called summer afternoon. Pleather heels stick to skin, prismatic clothes, paint and pins, a target to some, but here, a sign of safety. A human oasis in a place that wants you dead in sachet, haircut, and name. A place your siblings fled for brisk cities. Queer, political, climate, country refugees, transplants rooted in magnolia trees. Hey neighbor, is grass truly greener on the other side or wherever you choose to water? Bullets sweat down our necks, fall like muscadines on pounded pavement. We're grateful they are. I wrote after deciding I'm going to take this shit seriously, which again, everything is kind of connected in the Arkansas poetic world. Technically, this is an after poem that I wrote. I don't know if I can't see Kai, but this is a poem that is technically written and inspired by a poem that Kai had written about the original gay flag that I heard at Sibling Rivalry Press's 50 Stonewall Anniversary Poetry Reading. I left that open mic and I'm like, this is what I want to do. And I wrote this. That. This is a poem about my ex-wife. Ex-wife fried chicken. Yeah. My kitchen ghost is a poltergeist. She hovers on my shoulder as I season, smoked paprika in hand, shaking sweet brine chicken in a Kroger bag. We don't have a Piggly Wiggly, so this will have to do. She'd kill me if I told you this. How she haunted every inch of our home. Freezer burnt memory shoved to the back of my mind. I reach for them now only in the kitchen, only the good cuts, only moments that don't know like toast. Mad dash midnight supermarket sweeps and a marinade waiting in the fridge. Cinnamon floating in a Ziploc bath of sugar, water, spice, thighs. My kitchen ghost is a poltergeist. Dishes fly across the room, and at this point, I'm not surprised to find another favorite mug is at my feet. And now, still, I wear slides inside the house, still pulling chicken out the Kroger bag, eating oil in a cast iron skillet. Wait for the flour to dance before you drop one. And now, I'm not afraid to use my hands, gently. Out of the frying pan and through the fire, my kitchen ghost is a poltergeist. One I try to exorcise, like in those old scary movies where some bright-eyed, broke white couple move into a real fixer-upper. The ones I used to watch and think, that would never happen to me. I'd leave at the first sign. When was the last time Black folks stayed? The kind of thing you don't believe until you see it yourself, until you've moved on and moved away, until you're making supper on Christmas Day and yams touch the mac on your father's plate. A bit of fried chicken takes some decades back to mama's house. A family who looks like you. Palmetto State holidays, happy feelings recreated with a taste of soul. That's how we do it back home. When dad asks where I learned to cook like this and assumes the credit's his to claim. I know he can't see past the veil. My kitchen ghost, once poltergeist, sleeps quiet, hidden in the spice, in truth stuck tight between my teeth, and down south secret recipes. What once was hers belongs to me. Got a few more. A fun fact about me is that I love karaoke. I ride or die for karaoke. Karaoke is my life, and karaoke actually gave me the courage to start sharing and performing my poems in front of people. So if you ever want to practice and just feel more confident, go to karaoke because everybody's just happy for you. You don't have to hit the notes, I promise. Just sing your favorite song and just be earnest and really belt it. And this is a poem about karaoke. It's called Reflection. I treat Tuesday nights like free voice training, and boy, do I practice. Every week, a new song, every month, a new pitch, attempts to save a wasted beat. The next day, think of which way I'll throw back to a supposed simpler time. My escape is my studio, my commute, a family reunion, a karaoke room of my own. And I drive my inner child, let the tomboy choose the track he wants to sing now that our cousins aren't around. There's a song in our heart. I need its eyes because when I sing Reflection, I can't help. Look at me, I'll never pass. Or just lyrics on my phone. When I glance at a red light as if the words weren't waiting for me, 20 minutes tucked away in a music box with who I am inside. As if Tita Leia isn't singing to Poke Boys who will never pass. The secret firstborn son seeking wisdom from ancestors without a shrine. The queen and I duet on a highway, dotted with rain. I wipe my eyes and fight the urge to cut my hair on stage. Fun fact, again, about me, is I work in libraries. I know, it's like you're getting 20 questions, but tell me. I work in our libraries anti-hunger. Just spent this past week gathering resources in Little Rock and around Little Rock area to help people find food and meat for free across our cities. And I think as we're approaching tumultuous, sure is a word. The word I'll use now, these approaching and living and existing in tumultuous times, I think one of the ways that we can find our place in revolution is by practicing radical care. Practicing radical care. And this is a poem I kind of wrote in that vein. And kind of consider it maybe a guide map as you're finding your way and thinking how you can show up. Agenda on the eve of revolution. Wake up. Check on your people. Call your mother. Thank our mother. Then care for another. Ask, you ate yet? What you need? I got you. Make your favorite food and fill your people with love, with warmth, spirit. Set the table, spill the tea, sow the seeds of freedom from our sorrows, from collective suffering, from the river Mississippi to the Mediterranean. See, we mourn together. Pray their names as daily grace. Today we cry, tonight we rest, tomorrow we rise. Y'all, I'm gonna be right on time. I'm gonna give you another karaoke poem dedicated to my favorite karaoke dive bar and any place where you feel that you're at home to be yourself. Loudly. This poem is a performance after Arkansas SB 40. Tonight at karaoke, I sing like every song's my last. Because as far as I'm concerned, it is. The bill will pass before I belt my next tune, before we bust our next move, before the wounds of the week have a chance to heal. Tell me, if you're trying to take us back in the day, you'll have to drag us, kicking and screaming against the closet you try to force on us. But if we learned anything from elders, Payload and Red, it's how to survive in suffocating circumstances. Strap up and try to live. When darkness falls, we'll meet again, bathed in moonlight, singing this time at a hole in the wall, shared only between kindred spirits, comrades, queens. Shake it on our makeshift shot house stage, out in the middle of somewhere. Southern pride and mighty. Raise your voice a little louder so everyone can hear. I don't need your permission to be. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Festival. Thank you, Tellers, and people who travel to be here. I'm sounding like I run the place. I don't. Thank y'all. I'm at my time. Y'all have a good night. Book coming. Book. Dreams do come true. Our next reader is the Moon. They, them. It's full on Wednesday. One big Omani Padme home to all of you. Some of us are going to go to underground lounge later tonight and just have a drink and drink some water and stay hydrated. There'll be snacks. And I just wanted to also give a gift to Catherine later. So I have a gift for you. But anyways, some closing remarks.
So earlier, events are hard, y'all. And like I said, this is the culmination of months, if not years. So I also wanted to talk about connectedness. Tony mentioned connectedness, and it's something that I always come back to when I'm writing and when I'm just existing. I don't consider myself necessarily, but I got a little, I think we all do. Yeah. But it's funny to me because it's funny and magical because I decided I thought moving to Hot Springs, and some of that is because of things that have happened in my past, and some of that is just it was a new place. I'd been here before, but calling somewhere home means something, and I didn't want to take that decision lightly. And I tried to move back to Little Rock, and it just didn't feel like home. I'm from Little Rock, but it didn't feel like home. So I fought for months, just this internal battle. And I just, in April, I was like, oh, I'm moving to Hot Springs. And maybe a week or two later, I, out of the blue, saw this post about a Hot Springs Poetry Festival. Totally organic. Like, this was not a sponsored post. It was just showed up. And I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of that. And I was like, what's happening? What's going on? What is this? How can I be a part of it? And it was Sam behind the veil. And they were like, yeah, just however you can show up. Just, yeah. And I was like, No, yeah, let's talk about this. So it's just the connectedness and the fact that there are so many touch points in this room tonight of, oh, I know of you because of a project that you worked on. Oh, I know of you because I've heard about you. You live in Little Rock. Oh, I know of you because you're a teacher, or we work together in the library, or, I've been to Eureka Springs, or my mom is from Jonesboro. So, when you were talking, I was just like, oh my gosh, I've spent summers in Jonesboro with my grandparents. And I don't know, like, it's just so beautiful to me. And I hope that everyone who's in this room tonight can just take that bit of connectedness and know that this is it. It's not random, like it is and it isn't. I don't know how else to explain it. It just, yeah, like it's the universe, baby, and she's rooting for all of us, and yeah, I don't know, just this has been amazing, and it's filled my heart, and I think all of the like nervousness and just stress has, as I was listening to everyone talk, it just melted away. And I just think that's awesome that art can do that, that art can just, I don't know, kind of take you in and spit you back out, but in a loving way. In a way, hey, go make something now. So, whatever you feel like making, even if it's something small. Oh my gosh, stop. Because I collect mugs, I have a problem.
More
So,
interconnected.
yes, thank you. Um, but yeah, I'm filled with gratitude that all of this happened, that all of this has come into fruition, and filled with gratitude for Sam for dreaming about this and just making it a thing, making it possible. And I'm grateful to all of you for giving your time and your talents. Yeah, and I'm excited to continue working in this community. So I hope that, yeah. But yeah, Sam likes to sign off their emails with ever grateful, and I just think that that's kiss. Ever grateful. Thank y'all for being here tonight. And we have a week long lineup of fun things. Tomorrow we have the Poetry Playground at the Garland County Library. Sandy is going to be leading a workshop there. We have a couple of other workshops. Some of them are virtual, and all of that is on hspf.org. And you can go on there. It's super simple. Sign up. Again, everything's free, and that's thanks to our sponsors and donations. So thank y'all so much and have a wonderful night. Oh, wait, can I get everyone who was a reader tonight to take a photo? Like a cute little, a little, yeah. You don't have to be serious about it.
Oh my God. It was the kind of quick you were talking, I was like, I was laughing after you were like, oh my God, I love supposed to
But I checked it out.